One thing I'll never understand as football fans, Chelsea travel to Goodison Park and emerge 1-0 winners. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the championship!
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P, for what is season 4 of Couch Critic, your match review show, but more specifically a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance at Goodison Park against Everton. But before we get into all that, fellas, ladies, please do me a big favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get this season off to a great start. Season 4, as I said. And you already know I have a sponsor, and they go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Hit them up. The link will be in the description. Okay, and what was the curtain raiser of the 2022-2023 season? Chelsea traveled all the way to Goodison Park to face Everton in Merseyside and emerged 1-0 winners courtesy of a Jorginho penalty in the first half. In this particular match review, we're going to be looking at the performance of our captain, re-signed captain, Azpilicueta. We're going to be looking at the performances of our center backs, Koulibaly and Thiago Silva, my man of the match. And we're also going to be looking at our attacking recognition. We're going to be looking at some of the runs that some of these attackers are making that are not being recognized from our midfielders, from our wide players, and analyzing whether or not this is something that we need to be concerned with, or is it just a matter of just getting the chemistry together. Now, firstly, before we go too far, I don't want this to be taken too far out of context. Obviously, it's the first game of the season. We had a very, very tumultuous preseason. Lots of players coming in, lots of players leaving. You know, the squad is very much disjointed right now. So, you know, Thomas Tuchel is basically trying to parse together a squad that is capable of, you know, winning matches and, you know, going to a tough ground like Goodison Park and emerging as winners. So it's not always going to be pretty, especially the first game of the season. You know, Everton always are up for playing against Chelsea. It is a bogey team for us. So, like, everything that I say right now should be predicated on the fact that this is a very, very, very tough game for Chelsea, traveling away to Goodison Park. But having said that, I want to first focus on the performance of our captain, our newly re-signed captain, Azpilicueta. And I must say, ladies and gentlemen, that was just not good enough. And far be it from me to criticize a player that has given this club so much, captained us to a Europa League win, captained us to the Champions League win, and overall has just been an incredible steward for this club. A guy that, you know, has given us his best years and has been, you know, worn the badge with real pride. But the things that we've seen in this particular match are basically carryovers from what we saw last year. And, you know, he's just not able to keep up with the pace of the Premier League anymore. The things that he was able to do successfully in 2015 and, you know, 2014, where he was getting really touch tight to men and not giving them any space to breathe, any space to turn, are becoming liabilities in his game right now because he doesn't have the turn of pace and he doesn't have the makeup speed anyways. So what we saw, the very first instance of this came in the first half, where Demarai Gray and Azpilicueta are challenging for a 50-50 duel. Obviously, Azpilicueta is late, misses the challenge. Demarai Gray turns. He's going in 2v1 versus, of course, Thiago Silva, who was my man of the match. And if it were not for a last-ditch interception by Thiago Silva, Gordon's in on goal and potentially scores there. These are the situations where you want to see your captain, you know, your on-pitch general, you know, make the right decisions when you know you don't have the pace to make up and get back, and, you know, it's a 50-50 challenge. You have to play a little bit more safe. And for Azpilicueta right now in this stage in his career, he still has the mentality to be really, really tight to his man, really, really touch tight. And when he doesn't win those duels, I mean, the outcome is right there for you to see. You know, we're getting turned, you know, he's getting turned, and, you know, we're giving away goal scoring opportunities left, right, and center. He's just not really come to the understanding that, like, because he doesn't have that turn of pace anymore and the ability to make up for any errors, he has to give more space for the attackers to come onto him rather than, you know, read the space. And, you know, he hasn't really been able to do that effectively the last couple of years. Again, in the first half, where, you know, he's getting way too aggressive up the pitch. Obviously, he is a center back right now. He's not playing right wing back. He's playing center back for us. And what you expect him to be is to be the safety valve on that right-hand side. And of course, Everton were playing really deep and whatnot, and there was all sorts of space for him to run into. But when he's making those runs into the offensive third, he has to be cognizant of what's happening behind him and still make those safe, accurate passes. The second instance where Chelsea got broken on and almost led to another goal was a situation where he's, teaming into the final third. First touch, tries to cross it into the box. Obviously not his strong suit. It goes right into a defender, and then we're automatically being countered with numbers going the other way. If it were not for Reece James and his ability to, snuff out the play and make the tackle, again, Chelsea's 1v1, and who knows what happens there. But again, I don't want to rag on Azpilicueta. I really do believe that he has something to offer this club in the leadership department. He's a guy that has been through everything. He's won everything at this club. He's a guy that, understands what it means to be a proper Chelsea player. But there's times where I would rather see that sort of leadership from the sidelines right now. I really do believe that we need to bring somebody in that is much better in possession first and foremost, and has that turn of pace that when they are pressed up the pitch, which we will be a lot this season just based on the fact that we want to contest the pitch. We want to be more forward thinking. We want to be a possession-based team. I really do think that we need somebody that is, more fleet of foot and able to accurately make passes. But right now, what I want to look at is Azpilicueta's application on the pitch, what he's trying to give us, and whether or not he's able to deliver that anymore. Obviously, he wants to get touch tight. He wants to be a very aggressive defender. He wants to be a very aggressive attacker. Thinks the game's still like a right wing back, even though he's playing right-sided center back, where you want him to be a little bit more safe. And, all of these things are leading to a lot of problems tactically for Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea going forward. There's situations where in that first half where you look at Azpilicueta's positioning on the pitch, goes chasing after the ball here on the right flank, where he's got Demarai Gray, who's very tricky, he's pacey and whatnot. So he's chasing after him. This is the territory where you want to see Reece James be more engaged here and allow for Azpilicueta to drop off into the spaces here that are wide open and gaping. And the problem here is Azpilicueta is too far out, and he's leaving an acre of space for Gordon to run into. And lo and behold, it's two passes and they're in. And these are the types of things that we can't have from our captain. Our right-sided center back. And I feel like because he's so drawn to the ball all the time and he wants to get touch tight all the time, he leaves us open, very much open in the back. And again, if it had not been for Kalidou Koulibaly in this instance here, where he comes in and makes that last-ditch tackle and goes off Gordon and, out of bounds for a goal kick, we would have been, again, left wide open and probably would have conceded there. In a situation where Azpilicueta, your captain, your on-field general, the extension from Thomas Tuchel onto the pitch, is just leaving acres of space. You look at the game as a whole, Everton didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to really hurt Chelsea. But in that first half, the opportunities that were afforded to them were basically right on the back of Azpilicueta's poor recognition, Azpilicueta not being able to make the right sort of plays, right sort of reads when we're in vulnerable positions. And in order for us to move forward and be that more solidified squad, a defending team that, builds from the back out, we need Azpilicueta to be better. It's just that simple. Fortunately for Azpilicueta right now, our on-field general, we have a couple guys that are actual bosses in that center back position right now, and their quality was on full display right now. This full display this entire match. I'm speaking of the likes, of course, of Kalidou Koulibaly, and of course, my man of the match, Thiago Silva. Like, unbelievable performances. Like I said, Everton really didn't have a lot of opportunities to really hurt Chelsea, and a lot of that was just down to the fact that Kalidou Koulibaly and my man of the match, Thiago Silva, snuffed out everything. In particular, Thiago Silva, I thought that he was brilliant. His reading of the game, his ability to use his touch, his technique, his understanding and whatnot to, impact the game was impeccable. I thought that when he got in areas where Chelsea were vulnerable and we were left vulnerable, he was the one that was there cleaning up everything, and he had just an impeccable match overall. And I really do believe that Chelsea are And this is what I was hoping for at the beginning of the season. This is what I was calling for. This is what I wanted to see Chelsea do. I know we have problems in the attack. I know people think that we have problems in the midfield as well. And, you know, I agree on some levels as well. But the one thing that I wanted to have Chelsea accomplish this summer is to reshape that defense, redefine what it means to have a strong backbone in that back end. And with Kalidou Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, Cucurella, who came in and played incredibly well in the limited minutes that he was given. You know, obviously Reece James didn't have the greatest game, but I don't really have to think about, I don't think he's one that we have to worry about. He's going to be, you know, he's going to be Reece James again, world-class right back. What I'd like to see right now is Chelsea to rebuild that defense and become that formidable side again. I really do believe that they've gotten 2/3 of it right now with Koulibaly and Thiago Silva. If we can bring in another, you know, center back, you know, one more. I know Fofana's name's been kicked around. I would not mind him at all. He comes in and coalesces with the likes of, you know, Kalidou Koulibaly, Cucurella, you know, Reece James, Chilwell, Thiago Silva. That is the foundation for championships, folks. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but that is how you build a championship-winning team from the back out. We have something here, and if we can just continue to build on the foundation that Thiago Silva, Koulibaly present, and then, you know, add into the mix Cucurella, have him play off of like Chilwell, you know, give Reece James the freedom to roam forward as a right wing back, a really attacking right wing back that can really, you know, impact the final third. You give him a right-sided center back that's a little bit more safe, that has the ability to turn and, you know, make up for any errors or any counter-attacking situations that we might be finding ourselves in, and then that's all we got to do. Now, in order to be a true title contender, you do need to be able to score goals. And man, if there's anything that we can take away from this game, is that Chelsea still do not have the recognition in that final third to impact it and, you know, get goal-scoring opportunities. The few that we were afforded were just missed every time. And, you know, there's a couple instances here I'm going to analyze. This is a new portion of the show. I'm just going to be taking some stills from the game and try and show where I see where Chelsea could have done better. Now, in this particular instance here, we're seeing the instincts of Raheem Sterling come to the fore. Obviously, he's in possession here in this still, plays it into Kai Havertz, who then lays it off to Ben Chilwell. And the first thing you see here in this still here is that you can see Raheem Sterling's trying to attack the space in behind. And I don't need to tell you what happens after this particular play, obviously, in this still here. It gets recycled back. It goes back to, I think, to Kalidou Koulibaly, and the opportunity is missed. But this is what's missing from our attack right now. Obviously, Raheem Sterling's coming from a Man City setup that everyone on the pitch understands and is drilled to see where these runs are coming from. And, you know, Raheem Sterling is instinctively making that run right now, and it's just not being recognized from our left wing back. You know, this is the difference between us, a possession-based team that is a little bit more pragmatic, versus, you know, a Liverpool or a Man City, who are very much a possession-based team, but are very much aggressive in their actions to attack spaces, to get in behind the defense, to, you know, be more on the front foot and put more, you know, get more chance creation, more ideation in that final third. But before I get too far, I should say this. Frank Lampard, you are a brave soul, playing something like an Iwobi in the holding midfield position in a game like this. I don't know what you're thinking, but this is just tactically poor. Obviously, Iwobi is not obviously instinctively, you know, holding midfielder. He does not think the game like that, and left all sorts of spaces for players to exploit. Here again, here's the instance here where, oddly enough, it's Raheem Sterling that's on the ball. You see N'Golo Kante. He's got Iwobi, who's supposed to be marking him. He's got his head completely turned the opposite way. You see N'Golo Kante recognizes the space in behind. And what you want is for Raheem Sterling to put it in for him. Just play it over the top and play him in, and, you know, N'Golo Kante's in on goal. And again, once again, the recognition is not there. Guys are making runs all the time. Like, we saw runs, you know, the entire first half. This could be down to one of two things. We have attackers that haven't really established any sort of chemistry with our midfielders right now, in the likes of Raheem Sterling, who's making a lot of those darting runs. or we have midfielders who just don't recognize these plays enough. They don't recognize when, somebody has the beating of their man. It could also just be a combination of both. And if that is the case, it's not a good thing for Chelsea going forward. What you don't want to have happen, and I feel what happened in the second half, is that you make so many of these runs, you get these opportunities, and you're not taking your squad's not taking advantage of them, so you just stop making them. I worry that, the good habits that have been formed under Pep Guardiola with Sterling, the runs that he makes, the understanding of where he needs to attack the spaces, if we ignore those runs too much, what we might fall into is him just not making them anymore. And then the problem is we have another attacker who just does not want to attack the spaces because it's not being recognized. Like, here's another instance here where, Jorginho's on the ball, and again, Raheem Sterling makes an incredible run to attack the space in behind. And, Jorginho, who often has his head up but doesn't often, likes to make the safe passes, again, does not play it in. And, you just want to see an instance where, our midfielders pick their head up, look around, survey the pitch, and make the most. It's a risky pass, it's an aggressive pass, but you want to see them do that because the outcome and the risk versus reward factor there is great. We have an opportunity to score goals when we make those types of passes. When we keep on recycling possession and playing that more pragmatic style of football, first of all, we're putting our attackers in a position where they may not want to attack the spaces anymore, and knowing that they're not going to get the ball. And then also, we're just slowing down the game. We're not putting enough pressure on the defense, giving them something to think about. I know we like to engage in the half spaces, and I know we like to, pull defenders out of position when we engage in the half space and to get people in behind. But, there's opportunities where we can just play a direct ball right in behind. And here's another instance of it where we just haven't taken those opportunities. And to be a real attacking team, a team that gets on the ball, uses possession, and then hurts teams, we have to take these opportunities and we have to make the most of them. It's just that simple. But I do think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chelsea traveled to Goodison Park in game 1 of the 2022-2023 season and emerged 1-0 winners, courtesy of a Jorginho penalty. Notice how he didn't take that little skip jump anymore? Like, I think Pickford was waiting for it, and he just got beat. I don't even know if he would have got to it anyways, to be honest. It was just buried in the corner. Credit to Jorginho to change up his style, give them something else to think about. It was brilliant. And of course, Chilwell winning the penalty. His runs. He made I don't want to dwell on it, but he also made a few runs, darting runs inwards. His inverted runs to get in the box and just wasn't recognized. I really, really think that Chelsea need to just study the game film and get on the same wavelength with some of these runs, some of these attackers and whatnot. And perhaps maybe that means we have to bring in another midfielder, somebody that has an understanding of these types of movements and whatnot. Maybe that is a Frankie de Jong. I don't know. I don't want to pay overs for this guy. I think that he's got a lot of talent, but I'm not quite certain that he is the ideal choice in midfield right now. Again, I just don't want to pay overs. If he comes in and we pay like 30, 35 million for him, I am elated. But I don't want to see anyone pay anywhere close to like 85 million euros or 70 million euros for this guy, just because I don't think that he is the ideal fit in that midfield. You're going to have to build a midfield around him. Essentially that's what you're going to have to do. And he's not a bad player to build around, but at the same time, it means that you have to make other purchases in order for him to function correctly. Is it worth it at this point in time? You're paying 85 million and then you gotta bring in another defensive-minded midfielder, and then you gotta bring in more. Anyways, I digress. We aren't quite there yet. There's lots of rumors, but who knows where that goes. Chelsea, again, use the ball very well, keep possession very well, recycle possession very well. What we're lacking right now is somebody to just unlock the defense. Somebody that can really, play that ball, that can get our attackers in behind and be effective in the build-up. Having said that, the performances that we saw from Cucurella in his cameo, fantastic. Koulibaly coming in and just being a man mountain back there, winning everything. Of course, and Thiago Silva being Thiago Silva, these were the staples of this game, like seeing Raheem Sterling, make those darting runs in behind and being a guy that but still trying to be the conduit for our attack. You know, all of these things were very, very good to see, you know, and things that we can build on. You know, the players that have come into the squad right now, the players that we've identified for the type of football that we want to play right now are being extremely effective. It's just now we have to get the squad to get on the same page as them. And, you know, like I said before, everything that we've done so far in this window, I mean, I know we've been slow, has been, you know, a step towards making the squad better, making the squad more of a Thomas Tuchel team, and, you know, filling the philosophy that he wants to play. And, you know, long may that continue. What do we got next? We got Tottenham next. They look good in their first game. I'm not gonna lie, 4-1 winners. FC looking very good. You know, Harry Kane's gonna turn down at some point, and you know they got Son. So we really have to be turned on and be switched on and be focused, composed. You know, concentrating in a game like this, because you know they can hurt you in a heartbeat. And I definitely don't want to lose the Spurs. I definitely do not want to lose the Spurs this early in the season, because you know a team that's coached like Conte, they get their confidence going. They turn one game into two into four into six, and then you know they're on that run again. So we really have to focus on this match and stop whatever thoughts they have of getting into the top four, you know, or getting above us in the table. You know, put that to bed immediately. Eviscerate them, very similar to what we did to them. You know, beating them 4 times last year. Let's continue on that trend. But fellas, I'll be back next week, hopefully with a new intro. Who knows? I'm gonna be looking at making a new one. But if not, you know, just deal with the old one. For now, there's something in the works. But you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high and up.